Hello, I am Sarah Millican and welcome to episode 53 of How to Be Champion Storytime. I hope you are enjoying these. Somebody sent me a message the other day to say they just sat and watched all of them in a row. You keep sending me these messages. That's incredible. Some people kind of bunch them up and have a few, and then other people tune in at 3 o'clock on the dot and are there with their cup of tea and their Garibaldi or their hobnob or whatever they've got. And I am grateful to every single one of you. I'm so glad that you're watching and that you're enjoying these silly videos. So, now, episode 53 starts with the chapter Holidays. Remember them? Remember when we could go places? Weird, isn't it? It's weird. Let's crack on. Gary and I had been together for a while when we decided to go on holiday to London. The first time we went for fun rather than for work. We wanted to go to the planetarium as we're both interested in the night sky. Actually, Gary knows a lot about the constellations, as I discovered on our first trip away as a couple. For this story, Gary's version of what happened will be in brackets. I'll whisper those bits. We went to stay in a log cabin, chalet, in the Lake District and had a wonderful time. He was living with a flatmate and I was living with my parents, so a few days of just us was amazing. We'd brought a disposable barbecue with us and Gary lit it rather lethally, very safely, on the steps of the log cabin, chalet. We were caught by the woman who ran the place, who asked us not to light a fire on a wooden house. Fair enough. Bit dramatic. One night we went out for a walk in the pitch dark where he saved me from a badger. Bear. We looked up at the night sky, which was so clear we could see millions of stars. He asked if I knew much about the constellations. I said a bit. I'd done a project for fun when I was a kid, not a school project. For fun. That's the sort of kid I was. I stood in front of my mum and dad's living room window with my binoculars and made a note of what I could see while the double-decker buses rushed past. What an odd, excellent kid. I'd forgotten most of what I'd learnt by the time we went on this holiday in the lakes. I only know the North Star, Orion, and the Plough, the classics. So I was excited to learn again and stood with my arm around my love while he went through them one by one. That's the North Star, he said. I thought, I know that one. That's Orion. I know that one. That's the Plough. Right, that's me done. Everything from now on is learning. I listened intently, excited. There was a pause. There's another plough, he said. Then I realised he knows the same 3 constellations I know, but he does know all 5 ploughs. There was a visitor's book in the log cabin. They're always a treat, a good way to find nice pubs nearby, but it can also be hilarious. Our favourite entry said, "We've thoroughly enjoyed our time here. Would definitely come again. Lovely walks, accommodation very clean, and the dog and duck do an excellent steak on Thursdays. Our holiday was only marred by the sad death of the people's princess, Princess Diana, so 3 stars. Back in London, in the queue for the Palladium, it became clear that the only way you can get through to that bit is by doing and paying for Madame Tussauds too. So that's why there's always that massive queue. Frustrated astronomy nerds forced to look at Tom Cruise and whichever actress he stood beside at the moment. We paid, we queued, and as happens with us, if something's shit, we make it fun. Not that Madame Tussauds is shit. As far as rooms full of lifelike waxworks of famous people go, it's the best there is. That's just not our cup of tea. As we walked through briskly, an old Indian man came up to us and asked why there were 2 Nelson Mandelas. He was a great man, but it did seem odd. Then we pointed out to him that the Nelson Mandela standing between Brad Pitt and John Travolta was actually Morgan Freeman. Gary wanted to have his photo taken with Captain Jean-Luc Picard and Albert Einstein, so we nailed those 2, but in the World Leader room he decided he wanted a quick picture with Hitler. You know, for a laugh. The room was almost empty, so he got in position, arm around his shoulders, like pals on a night out. I took a pic. He started to release his arm. "Oh, it's all blurry," I said. So I took another. "Oh, it's too dark." I took another. "You moved." Another. "You blinked on that one." Another. The room was starting to fill up, and Gary was getting agitated because of the people looking and judging him for wanting a picture with Hitler. Eventually I said that was a good one, and with relief he unhugged Hitler and we moved swiftly to the next room. Not before I told him I'd taken 9 perfect pictures of him with Hitler. Ha! We pop to London every now and again to see a show. Sometimes we drive straight back. One time we did a matinee and got a train either side. On one occasion we were there for a couple of days. Precious days off work together and away from home with no responsibilities. No animals to feed, no poos to pick up, hopefully. So we went to see a big musical. Everyone I know had seen it and said it was utterly brilliant. We were excited. We sat in our stupidly expensive but tiny seats. The man beside me lost the armrest to one of my fleshy saddlebags. About 25 minutes into the show, I was bored. Bored. I had to work out if Gary was bored too. I leaned over to him and whispered, "How many out of 10 so far?" He whispered back, 6. And I knew he was the same as me. When the interval began, again I leaned over, like the temptress that I am, and whispered, "We don't have to come back after the interval, you know." His face lit up like I knew it would, like a naughty bane. And that is the end of episode 53. I do hope you enjoyed it. Let me know if you've walked out of anything. Obviously, if it was my show, keep that to yourself because that's really hurtful and you'll make me cry. And then I'll have to have another bloody Magnum and we haven't got many left. But if you've walked out of a film or a show or whatever, just tell me what you've walked out of. I find it incredibly liberating. You've got my money, but you can't have my time as well. That's my theory, which is probably coming up in the next section. I'll probably just spot that. Anyway, you'll see that tomorrow. Have a good rest of day. Take care of yourselves. I look forward to reading the comments, and I will see you tomorrow. Stay in the house, wash your fucking hands. I'll see you tomorrow. Lots of love. Bye-bye.
Hello, it's Sarah Millican here. Please make sure you subscribe to my channel to stay up to date with all of my latest videos. Don't forget to like, pop a comment below, and why not stick around to watch a few more? I'm sure those emails or those dishes can wait a bit longer.